welcome to another episode of Empower Your Menopause, the podcast where we talk about all things health, hormones and happiness for women over 40. It's coaches James and Juli here from Fabulous Beyond 40, and today we're addressing a topic that can be incredibly frustrating for women throughout all stages of the menopause transition. Yes, we're talking about the dreaded brain fog. So if you've ever forgotten the word for thingy, you've walked into a room and just blanked out, or stared at a spreadsheet like it was ancient Sanskrit, you are not alone. Brain fog during menopause and perimenopause is very real, and for many women it can be quite scary too. So we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about what causes it, why it happens, and what you can actually do about it, more importantly. And spoiler alert, it's not just about memory, and it's not about dementia either. We will touch on dementia a little bit. But I just want to dive straight in on this one, Julie, because I know that earlier on today we were chatting and you said, I'm actually feeling a bit brain foggy myself today, so this is quite an apt subject to talk about. So why don't you just talk to us about what it is then? Let's set some criteria so people can start off at a point in time where we kind of all know what we're talking about. What is it? Tell us a little bit about why it happens.
Sure. This is a really frustrating thing, and you might start experiencing some of the effects of this without really noticing that that's what's happening, because we start forgetting maybe words, or I shouldn't say forgetting, but recall becomes a little bit difficult. I mean, we don't really forget things. It's stored in our brain somewhere, but recall is what gets mostly affected. So we might have some memory glitches. We might misremember things. Have just that feeling of fuzzy thinking. Simple tasks that we're used to doing on a daily basis, somehow we might forget a step or forget how to do something, then get frustrated because we should know how to do that. I've even seen this show up in the personally with some slurred speech, because your brain is trying to operate at a specific speed, and it's not connecting with the rest of your thinking process. So a lot of times things can come out even a little bit jumbled. And that can be a really scary feeling, because when we talk about dementia and how much a woman's risk of dementia increases with this decline in estrogen through menopause, a lot of people joke about it, call it sometimers or old timers, and alluding to Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. So it can be a really scary thing, and we do need to take it seriously, but we also need to understand that it doesn't mean that all of a sudden your brain is just never going to work correctly again. But the truth is that we do have a lot of estrogen receptors in our brain, so we have that protective effect until it starts to fluctuate and we start to lose it. The research shows that a lot of women, and I would go so far as to say most women, experience this throughout some part of their menopause journey. Anywhere from 44 to 62% is what the studies are showing. So again, because estrogen plays that key role in our memory and our focus, when we start adding in things like stress and disrupted sleep and taking on too many things, and our brain is, we're resilient, our brain is capable, but then you throw in the modern day multitasking requirements and all the other things going on. So it's no wonder, I should say, because my words aren't coming out that well today. It's no wonder that this happens to us during this phase of life. So estrogen isn't the only thing that causes it. Do you want to talk about some of those things?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to pick up on something you said there. 44 to 62% of menopausal women experience it. Now, I don't know how you get 4.4 women or 6.2 women, but that means that somewhere between 4 and 6 women are experiencing this. So, let's start off by normalizing it, I suppose, first of all, that it's not you, it's not something different, it's not something you shouldn't necessarily expect to happen or shouldn't be part of the process. So let's just try and sort of like make sure that people know where they are when it comes to that kind of thing. But the main driver is obviously that declining estrogen, progesterone messing around. Estrogen, we know, has a protective effect over our brains, over brain chemicals, just like it does over so many other things: bone health, muscle health, blood sugar regulation, etc. And so they do play obviously a key role in this fuzziness that comes with it. And I suppose to a point, a related symptom here is the anxiety that comes with it as well, because particularly the first time that women experience brain fog, then anxiety can come as well. What happens then with anxiety is that we get a spike in that other hormone, the stress hormone that we tend to talk about a lot on this podcast, which is our good old friend cortisol and high cortisol. And again, as we talk about a lot on this podcast, high cortisol comes from high stress levels. High stress levels seem to generally go with the territory of the menopause transition for a number of reasons. First of all, it's a worrying time for many women. Some women sail absolutely through it. Some women are particularly challenged by it, and that can be worrying for them. Throw into that, obviously, all the other lifetime or lifestyle things that happen. Sorry, not lifetime. Things like still parenting, having kids, having teens who are hormonal, which is a challenge, which I know is happening a lot at my house right now. Yeah. Aging parents. Some people call this the sandwich parenting generation, because you're parenting both down and you're parenting upwards. That constant drive to want to show up for everybody all the time. The constant pressures of society on women to feel as though they're showing that they're coping all the time as well. So all those kind of things can lead to high cortisol. High cortisol affects your memory and it affects your recall. So once again, we're looking at something that is multi-layered here, because you've got declining estrogen, you've got progesterone declining, protective effect goes, you've got cortisol spiking. That helps. Well, it doesn't help, but it helps mess up memory and recall, if that makes sense. And then you've also got other things as well. So sleep is disrupted at this time of life. Sleep is when our brains reorganize things like our memories and our thoughts, etc. So night sweats and anxiety, they also wreck sleep. Sleep then becomes a challenge. We end up in a bit of a spiral. Throw into all this some more hormonal challenges that come from estrogen now not protecting blood sugar. So blood sugar instability, or stops protecting blood sugar regulation. And so our other good old friend insulin comes into play now. And then once again, we've got these, we're not controlling blood sugar properly. When we're not controlling blood sugar properly, then that can also lead to foggy thinking, anxiety, slurring of words, etc. So all those kind of things can come together. And on top of all that, because I'm going to add some more in here while we're talking about all this,
because we need more stuff.
Yeah, because we need more stuff to illustrate what's making it happen, so we can talk about what can help with it. Are some certain nutritional deficiencies as well. So the first one is choline. Choline is an essential nutrient, very, very similar to the B vitamins, plays a real role in brain function. And when you've got deficiencies of it, it can lead to brain fog. Choline is, I won't get too far into the science, but it's a precursor to acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter, and that helps with memory, learning, and that kind of thing as well. So a few things that can affect choline then outside of it not being in your diet. So first of all, alcohol consumption. Now I know that many women rather, not everybody, likes to turn to wine o'clock when it comes to early evening. High alcohol consumption can increase your body's demand for choline. So if it's already low, then that can lead to a deficiency, and it's the deficiencies that tend to contribute towards brain fog. I'm not sure how many people who listen to this podcast are also endurance athletes like myself, but endurance athletes can also experience decreased choline as well, particularly during those long periods of intense exercise, like either long training runs at the weekend or when they're actually racing, if they're racing sort of like 50, 60, 70, 80 miles, etc. And then, of course, decreased choline can also come from reduced estrogen levels as well. So we've got choline is an issue here. Where do you get choline from in your diet? Well, meat, poultry, fish, dairy, and eggs are particularly rich sources. You will notice that they all tend to be high in protein as well. And then you can also find them from a vegetarian point of view, vegan vegetarian, in some of our favourite cruciferous vegetables, where you also find, again, many B vitamins. So things like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, legumes, nuts, seeds, wheat germ, etc. Inadequate choline, so we've not got enough choline, it's really, really closely related to one of the B vitamins, which is B12. B12 is crucial for your nerve cell health. It's crucial if you don't have enough of it, it can lead to nerve damage. That can also impact cognitive function and contribute to brain fog as well. B12, unfortunately, for those of you who are vegan, vegetarian, if you aren't getting it from your diet, from animal sources, because it's in all animal sources of protein, you won't get it from anywhere else. So you will have to supplement B12 in some way, shape, or form. And because it plays such a vital role in brain function, you probably need to think about probably doing that if you're vegan, vegetarian. B12 deficiency can lead to all kinds of psychological issues, depression, anxiety, irritability, and they can obviously exacerbate brain fog symptoms. So you want choline and B12 to be relatively high. And then you've got DHA, which is one of the omega-3 fats as well, which is believed to have a role in reducing brain fog. So trying to focus on those three things: choline, B12, and your omega-3s are really, really key from a nutritional point of view. All your omega-3s, they improve blood flow to the brain, strengthen your communication between brain cells, they reduce neuroinflammation, which is that inflammation, low-level inflammation that we tend to have around our neurons, which can contribute to cognitive fatigue. So lots and lots of things to look at there. Julie, why don't you take us through some of the practices that we can start introducing then to look at some of these challenges and what can actually help when it comes to brain fog?
Yeah, absolutely. And the beautiful thing here, hopefully you're not listening to this and feeling more anxious because of all the information we're sharing. But it's important to understand why this is so important and how it can affect you, so that, as James said, we can normalize this, because it is a real thing that we face, and it it helps to learn to identify the triggers, right? So when your sleep is disrupted, do you notice it more? When you're more stressed, is that when it tends to creep in? And looking at your diet, because James mentioned these nutrients, right? Choline and omega-3s and B12. It's great to look at your food sources of those first, because supplements should be supplemental. We're not talking about throwing a bunch of supplements at yourself here just to help with your brain fog, because that isn't necessarily going to help. Lifestyle factors first. Diet also is key. So when you can identify which things seem to help or hinder this whole brain fog process, that's a really good place to start, because then you can understand better how to address it in a most effective way for your needs, because everybody's going to be a bit different here. We all have different levels of resilience and stress tolerance and that kind of thing. So maybe keeping some simple notes in your diary about specific days that you notice you're having this. Are you back to back to back to back meetings and not getting any nourishing food in between? Are you hydrated? Those kinds of things. The other thing is eating enough protein. We can't stress this enough. It's probably something that most women are deficient in, if I can be so bold as to say that. Certainly most of the women we talk to. So eating a palm that's the size of your hand minus your fingers, the width and thickness of the palm of your hand, about that much protein, especially at breakfast, can really help set the tone for your day, and help to prevent blood sugar crashes. Your energy tends to be a bit more level when you're eating enough protein. Staying hydrated absolutely makes a big difference. Most mid-afternoon fatigue is usually the result of dehydration. When we're in the process of feeling stressed, and those are the very foods that are going to exacerbate this issue for us. And something else that can really help is just slowing down, taking some deeper breaths before you eat, eating mindfully, paying attention to what you're putting into your mouth. How many, we our grandparents used to say, our parents used to say, chew 20 to 30 times per bite. So just slowing down, finding different ways to make your eating a bit more relaxed, first of all, you'll digest it a lot better. You'll taste it and be satisfied with more. And it will help you learn to focus on individual processes as they're going on. And then breath work can help too. So something else I know I find really key is my sleep ritual. So I have a wind down time now. Make sure that an hour before I want to be sleeping, I'm starting to wind down. I'm not doing anything that requires a lot of brain work. I actually program my phone to shut off at 9:15 p.m. No matter what I'm doing, it just shuts right off in the middle of it, because that helps me remind myself that I don't want to be looking at screens before bedtime, because that keeps your brain thinking it's daytime and running at high speeds. Cooling down your bedroom is a great way to help you sleep better. And then getting in daily movement. Your sleep actually starts with what you do first thing in the morning. Getting sunlight, getting natural daylight, getting some kind of movement and exercise in the morning, if that's possible, is great. Even a 5 or 10 minute stretching routine can provide some benefits. Again, that protein rich breakfast. And remember, I think above all, remembering that this is a phase that you're going through. It's not a personal failure. There's nothing wrong with you. This is very normal at this time of your life. So learn to recognize it and become aware of it. And rather than starting that panic mode about what's going on, just think through, what can I do to support myself right
Mm.
now? That self-care is really critical. Do you have any other thoughts about that?
Well, I think self care, particularly, obviously, you know, it's not one thing that solves an
Mm,
issue like this, is it? But certainly one thing that goes a long way to helping with it is making sure your protein levels are as high as they can. One of the nutrients that we didn't talk about so much was creatine. There's lots of evidence that creatine also helps with brain fog and cognitive function. And so, if I'm looking at choline, I'm looking at creatine, I'm looking at omega 3s, I'm looking at B12. Where are my main sources of looking at those four things? I'm probably looking at meat, fish, salmon,
yeah,
oil fish, and so making sure that that is as high as possible, getting as much protein in as you can. We talk about protein-rich breakfasts and things like that. That also helps with things like blood sugar balance and making sure that blood sugar balance is regulated. So there's a lot of things I think that can be. It's not a catch-all, but certainly on top of all the other lifestyle things like working out your triggers, getting rest, getting proper sleep, creating a sleep ritual, and all that kind of stuff. Certainly, getting diet right and getting diet high in protein is just, for me, it feels like a non-negotiable. Given all the other benefits of
yeah,
adding protein to your diet, why would you not want to do it to help with this as well if you're having trouble with brain fog? I guess.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's great for so many other things:
Yeah.
strength and um, energy and weight management and so on and so on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, shall we talk about brain fog and dementia then, or shall we talk about dementia in general and the menopause transition?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's there because there is a difference, right?
yeah, of course, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So the the biggest differences for between brain fog and dementia, really, because brain fog, it comes and goes. It's temporary. It's a temporary thing, so it may affect your memory, your focus. It doesn't, but it doesn't usually affect um, the broader cognitive decline that you see when people are in early stages of dementia, right? It improves when you change your lifestyle. It improves when those triggers are removed, whereas dementia doesn't do that. It worsens steadily, and it not only impairs memory and some of these other functions, but there's a decline in cognitive function that actually gets worse over time, and it affects your language, your judgment, your behavior, decision making, even the ability to perform simple everyday tasks. So it's much more serious. It's much like I said, it's much more steady than brain fog. So if you notice from one day to the next, you're feeling fine, and you didn't get very much sleep, and then you feel fuzzy headed the next day, it's probably brain fog. But if you're starting to notice changes in even personality changes, your, as we say, your executive function, your ability to perform everyday tasks. We had a lady I worked with once, and she was in her early 50s, but she actually started getting lost in her own neighborhood trying to drive to work.
Mm.
So unfortunately, we were able to get her into a specialist, and she was diagnosed with early stage of dementia.
Yeah.
And that was a decline that had come over the course of time. But generally speaking, it's, if you're experiencing brain fog in menopause, it's completely normal and nothing to be alarmed about.
Yeah, I suppose the other thing as well is, if you do start keeping one a symptom diary, if you like, or you're recording what might be driving it, you might be able to get some clues there, because dementia is a long-term cognitive decline that doesn't ever get better, or not under the current science as we understand the current scientific paradigm of it. Whereas brain fog can obviously come and go. So that recording of things and being able to identify of, is this something that is happening irrespective of other lifestyle factors that might be going on? Because there are many times whereby, whether you're menopausal or not, you've got so much stuff going on in your life that you'll walk into a room and forgot why you walked into it. That is not exclusive to the menopause transition, although I know it is one of the symptoms of having the wider brain fog challenge that can come for some women in menopause. And so I think being able to look at things and just try and have some kind of assessment, and really, if you do think there's a challenge, see your doctor about it. If you think this is a long-term challenge, because then you can be assessed properly by somebody. So shall we talk a little bit about how we can help, not just with brain fog, but with general challenges of the menopause transition? I suppose it's worth saying that we talk a lot about lifestyle facts on this podcast, and Julie and I, in our business, Fabulous Beyond 40 Coaching, we offer focused support for women over 40 in 4 main areas, and that's how you think, how you eat, how you move, how you live. You'll notice that all 4 of those will play a role in brain fog and anxiety, right? We've just illustrated how that works. A great starting point, if you want to touch base with us and see how we can help, is our new Menopause Impact Assessment calls. They're held over 45 minutes, there or thereabouts. And what we do is, first of all, we take you through a validated symptom assessment tool. So this is medically proven to be able to give you an overall menopause score, if you like. You shouldn't really view it just as a total score, because you need to look into the details of what's contributing to that score. But then you can use that as a starting point, so you know where you are. More importantly, we'll then help you set some goals, so you know where you want to go to. So you've got your start point and hopefully your end point. You can use that tool again and again and again to help you ascertain how any lifestyle interventions you're making might actually be helping. We'll then help you look at what's actually helping you right now get to that goal, that end point that you want to get to. Because many of us are doing lots of things. I'm sure that lots of you are listening here will already be thinking, well, I get enough exercise, I get good sleep, or whatever. And so we can look at the things that are working for you, so we can make sure that you build on those, you focus on those, so you've got that base there. But then, really importantly, we'll help you troubleshoot what you might need to work on for your next step, or your first steps in this journey. So the whole call takes 45 minutes to an hour. You can choose either myself or Julie. I won't be offended if you want to speak to Julie, you'd rather speak to a woman, that's absolutely fine. Plenty of our clients like to speak to me, so that's good too. If you'd like to book on one of the calls, it's just impact.fabulousbeyond40.com. You can go there, you can sign up for it. There's a low level cost to it, just to cover the basis of our time, really. And if you decide to work with us long term afterwards, you don't have to, but if you do decide to work with us long term, we'll actually refund that cost against anything that you any programs that you sign up to us with us. So I suppose that's it then for this episode. So just to remind you, you're not losing your mind. It's all being rewired at this time of life. It doesn't have to be scary. If you need us, we're here to help. We're coaches James and Juli at Fabulous Beyond 40. Remind you to stay strong, stay fabulous, and we will see you next time. Take care.